It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks for joining me this morning as we talk about Charleston real estate here on WTMA. I've been doing this show for 5 years, selling real estate for 11. Done about 1,000 transactions as a real estate broker here in this market. We help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate throughout the week. And we do this show on the weekends as a service to help people learn more about the industry, learn more about the real estate market, prepare for it, whether they're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, so that you can set some realistic expectations for yourself when you decide to enter the market. So it's an educational program. We appreciate you tuning in. We've got a lot of ground and information to cover over the next hour, but what I'd like to say first is that if you're interested in buying or selling a home this year and you're considering hiring a real estate agent to help you with that process, please consider me and my team for that. We've already sold 75 homes this year. We sold over 200 last year. Would love the opportunity to earn your business. I can be reached at 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. We've just put some new information on there. Again, we have all radio shows from, I think, ever since I've done this program. You can search the MLS. You can find out what your home is worth. You can learn more about myself, my team, our marketing. And, of course, if you're thinking about selling your house this year, we do offer a 2.4% listing commission, lowest in the industry right now for full-service real estate. So check that out at listingsincharleston.com or give me a call, 843-345-1273. So here's what we're going to chat about over the next hour. I want to go back to what I was talking about last weekend and just revisit that comment that was made that I read off, which related to pricing. It was a seller that was disgruntled over the fact that their home had not sold over the course of a little more than 2 months, and they didn't have the showings and blah, blah, blah. You can listen to the last program if you want to hear the full story. I don't want to get all into that, but we're going to talk more about pricing a home effectively to sell in this market, a seller's market, and how that can sometimes create challenges. We're also going to talk about the condition of a home and how that relates and impacts the selling process. And we're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about that a lot this next hour, actually. Marketing is a big deal. Price and condition, all, in my opinion, can fall under marketing because it's what the buyers see. It's what they perceive to be the value of the property. We do that by creating exposure through our marketing. So we're going to talk about that. And finally, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about buying or selling a house if it's rented, whether it's a vacation property, you have a long-term tenant in the property. I'm going to give you some things that you need to know if you're a buyer or a seller or if you're a tenant. So that's the plan over the next hour. Again, if you want to reach out to me, you've got a private issue you'd like to discuss, you have a general question, we're happy to answer those too. Or you want to hire me to help you buy or sell a home, 843-345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. So let's go back to what we were talking about last weekend for just a few minutes. And let's talk about pricing. I said that when a home fails to sell, it's really three basic things, three categories that apply to that property that are causing it not to sell. It's price, condition, and marketing. So we're going to talk about all three of those for the majority of this show, actually. But let's talk about pricing first. And I'll tell you a perfect example, which is something that happened to me this week. I'd been communicating with a seller for probably 2.5, 3 months, really since the beginning of the year, actually, talking about putting their home on the market. I walked through the home. We looked at what we thought needed to be done to prepare the home for sale, which is getting, of course, into condition. We talked about the marketing plan, what we're going to do to create the exposure, both before it's actually listed for sale, and then, of course, during the time in which it has been entered into the MLS. So we're talking about pre-marketing, the things that I can do kind of behind the scenes to create some interest. And then, of course, we're talking about things that will be done once we're officially on the MLS and it's open to the general public. So we went through all of those steps. We had a stager come through. And then, of course, we had the professional photographer, videographer, all of those things, put the property on the market. A few days later, multiple cash offers. If we had waited, and I mean, it was a little crazy, to be honest with you. And this is why I believe in the team concept. We had more calls than I would have been able to personally handle on that property, on that one property in one day. I think we had 20-something calls in one day on that property. So I have a listing manager, and she helps me with some of those things. But that's beside the point. What I'm getting at here is that if you have a home that's attractively priced, it's in good condition, and it's marketed very well, the market literally will not let that house sell for any less than fair market value. And frankly, in this instance, I think it sold for more than what I believe to be fair market value. But that's the kind of market we're in. It's a market that is really supportive of sellers if they're willing to do the things they need to do to prepare their home for sale, and they're willing to have an open mind about pricing their home effectively, and then, of course, hiring a real estate agent that has the experience, that has the resources to market their home effectively, not just the MLS. We're not just talking about folks that put the property in the MLS, because those are a dime a dozen. We're talking about the folks like me that are doing massive online marketing campaigns for properties to target everybody from your next door neighbor to people in China and everybody in between. So when we're talking about pricing a property and we're going through that scenario, before we get too deep into that rabbit hole, I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, well, hey, my home isn't in perfect condition, or my home needs some updates, or my home's different, or my home is unique, or whatever one of those things you want to grab at to say that, okay, well, that might not apply to me. The truth is this. Any home can sell at the right price. In my opinion, the problem with pricing a home really stems from three basic things. And of course, if you're hiring a real estate agent, this is what is going to, come out to be a summary of these three things. Number one is inexperienced agents. Number two is greedy agents. And then number three would be unmotivated or unrealistic sellers. So let me just hit on those three things for a second, because I know that's a bit of a bold statement, but if you've listened to this program before, you know that I don't really pull my punches here. This is an opportunity for me to tell you how it is. This is my opportunity to talk straight with you guys about the market, about the perception of the market, and about your expectations with the market, so that when you enter this market, you know what's going on. You hopefully align yourself with a real estate agent that also knows what's going on. And so when we talk about pricing and we talk about the environment that we're in right now as a market, a seller's market, where we've got prices that are increasing, while at the same time homes that have been on the market for 6, 7, 9, 12 months are still on the market. Well, why is that? So again, let's go back to these three things: inexperienced agents, greedy agents, and unmotivated or unrealistic sellers. Inexperienced agents. Now, if you've had your home on the market, let's say you had it listed with a real estate agent for 6 months, it came off the market, it didn't sell. Guess what happened the next day? If you've ever had this happen, you're probably smiling from ear to ear right now, because you know exactly what I'm talking about. What happens the day after your property comes off the market because your other agent failed to sell it? You get bombarded with phone calls. We're talking 20, 30, 50 phone calls a day for days, potentially weeks, from all kinds of real estate agents that want to earn your business, that are going to tell you everything you want to hear to get an appointment and to get that listing. The issue with that is that the majority of people that are calling you are newer agents. The majority of the agents in our market are not what I would call a top producing agent. I would say the majority of agents, the overwhelming majority of agents in our market, are selling less than a home a month. And I'd say that percentage, I haven't checked that in about a year, but as of last year, I think to be in the top 10% of agents in our market, you had to sell 14 homes a year. Now, we've had some more sales in our market over the past 12 months, so I'd venture a guess and say that that's a little more. But still, the overwhelming majority of agents in our market are selling less than a home a month. And so you're getting all of these agents calling sellers, telling them whatever they want to hear to get an appointment. They walk in, and here's what happens. They'd sit down with the seller and they say, well, what happened? What went wrong? What could have been done differently? Tell me about the feedback. Tell me about the marketing. Tell me about the price. Now, obviously, it's every agent's goal when they go into a property like that to try and get a lower price. More often than not, it's a pricing issue, and that's just me being honest, and that's me coming from a little experience here. I mean, I have sold about 1,000 homes here in Charleston, and the majority of the listings that I sell were about 60%, to be exact, are homes that were previously on the market that failed to sell, and the seller either calls and hires me, or we call and we interview them, and they interview us, and it works out, and we feel we can get the job done for them, and so we move forward and we get the property sold. But the inexperienced agent, especially the agent that isn't doing a lot of business, is salivating over the idea of having a listing. When you have a listing, you also get calls from buyers. So you get to essentially double dip, or so they say. You get one transaction for the seller, and then if you're doing your job right, you're supposed to get one or two transactions from the buyers that inquire about the property. So that's why people always go after listings. Because of that, they're going to tell the seller that their price is fine. Hey, let's just go back on the market at the same price. I don't think that's an issue. We'll adjust that if we need to at some point in the future. We can just talk about that later, but for now, let's just get you back on the market. And the issue with that, of course, is that it could either be inexperience or it could just be greed. Maybe they know that the price that they're going back on the market at isn't going to work. And frankly, their marketing is probably not much better or different from the previous agent's marketing. So we're really just kind of repeating what didn't work for the past several months. And so you go on the market, and of course you get the same basic results, which is not much. And so you look back at the pricing, and this listing agent who isn't getting the buyer leads they thought they'd be getting because they have an overpriced listings that buyers don't really want. They're looking at the price. They're saying, man, all right, well, we need to do something about this price. We need to drop this price. Let's call up the seller. Let's have a meeting with them. Let's see what we can get done here. And the seller says, no, I don't think I want to do that. So that then takes me to the third category, which is unmotivated or unrealistic sellers. And I can't always put the blame on the agents for this. Sometimes the sellers are of the opinion that, hey, we'll reduce the price if we're not getting the traffic within 30 days, and they get 3 or 4 showings within a month, and they think that that's great. So they decide to keep the price where it is, or they'd have a change of heart. Whatever the case might be, you really do have 3 basic things here. Agents that don't know how to price a property because they haven't done it enough, or they haven't sold enough real estate to be confident in their pricing. Greedy agents that don't necessarily care if they're taking an overpriced listing or not. They just want a listing so that even if it doesn't sell, at least they can get some buyer leads. And then 3 are the sellers that say, no, I want this price for a variety of reasons. And the agent just says, okay, they buckle under the pressure. They don't advise their clients. And they say, well, hey, at least they got something on the market, and at least there's a chance. So when we come back, we're going to talk about condition. We're going to talk about how that relates to price. We're also going to talk about marketing a little later on in this program. So stick around. A lot of ground to cover still here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Remember, if you want to reach out to me, you want to talk about selling your house, my number is 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, for the 2.4% listing commission guarantee. All that and more as we continue here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. We're going to continue our discussion about selling a house in a seller's market right now. But if you have any questions as we're going through this information, you're thinking about selling your house this year, or you'd like to buy a home, feel free to reach out to me. My number is 843-345-1273. That's my cell phone. That's not an on-air phone number. That's to reach me privately to discuss your interest in buying, selling a home, or maybe you just have a general question that you'd like to ask me. Happy to help any day and time with your concerns, your comments, your questions. Again, the number is 843-345-1273, and the website is listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. You can find more information on myself, my team, who we are, what we've sold. Search the MLS. You can listen to radio shows that I've recorded previously. You can learn more about my marketing. You can learn more about the 2.4% listing commission that we're offering this year. It's unique. It's something nobody else is doing. That is selling the amount of homes we've sold. We've already sold 75 homes this year, so the market's good. Great time to sell your home. If you're thinking about selling, I'm telling you right now, there is a ton of activity right now. The majority of the stuff we're putting on the market is selling like that, which is a lot of fun. It's awesome. It's a great market. So what we're going to do now is just continue our discussion here. We just talked about pricing a home effectively. I want to read through some of what I've written here. I've written a few ebooks in my day, and one ebook that I wrote was a comprehensive pre-sale checklist if you're going to sell your home. So it has everything from the mindset that you need to get yourself into with regard to condition, to how to prepare every room in your house, how to create an ambiance that's going to attract buyers, all of that stuff. It's all written. It's not that long. I think it's 16 pages. So it's a little bit of a read, but it take you 20 minutes. So if you want that information, just go to listingsincharleston.com, click on the contact tab, and just put free ebook for selling your home or something like that, pre-sale checklist, and I'll email that right over to you. Obviously, no cost, no obligation, but it's a good read. It's something that I've taken from my own experiences in selling about 1,000 homes here in Charleston. So it took me a little while to write, but it's got some good information in there. So feel free to go to Listings in Charleston to check that out. So let's get right into it. In my opinion, as somebody that's been doing this for 11 years, the best way to sell a house is to sell it fast. I don't believe that the homes that sit on the market for 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 months get a better price. When you're selling a house, you essentially have two ends of the spectrum that will dictate the asking price. One is I need to sell as quickly as I can, or I need to sell for the most money possible. So the spectrum there is time. If you need to sell really fast, then it makes sense to assume you're going to ask a slightly lower price than if you don't care how long it takes, so long as you get your price. So when you're selling a property, in my opinion, if you sell it quickly, you also sell it for the best value. But when your home isn't in the best condition, it sits on the market and it tends to become a little stale. And it goes back to this discussion we had last week about those two groups of buyers that view your home as soon as it hits the market. So let me just tell you what that is really quickly, because a lot of people listen to this every weekend. I wish you did. But when you put your home on the market, you've got two groups of people that you are marketing your home to. Group number one are the people that are already looking for a home. They are ready, willing, and able buyers. They are watching the market like a hawk. And as soon as something hits the market that fits their needs, they're going to make an offer. So with regard to group number one, usually within 30 to 45 days, they've seen your property online, they've seen it in person, and they've decided to make an offer or not. The second group of people are the people that enter the market every day. Something changes in their life. They've sold their home and now they're ready to buy. They're downsizing. Their family is increasing in size. They're relocating for a job. Whatever the case might be, at some point in time, if you've exhausted group number one, the people that are ready, willing, and able right now, then you're just waiting for new people to enter the market to view your house, or you have to change something about your property to then entice group number one to come back and say, you know what? Yeah, now that that price is lower, or now that they've made some repairs, I am now more interested. So what you want to do is prevent that stagnation from ever occurring. Marketing, in my opinion, has everything to do with presentation. So when you present a flawed product, or on the other end of the spectrum, if you present a really nice home poorly, classic example of that is all these $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 homes that I look at with iPhone photos where I want to rip my hair out. It's ridiculous. Don't get me started. But we're talking about presentation here. So these days, in my opinion, it simply isn't enough to just take care of some of those little basic repairs and do a little cleaning. If your home truly wants to sell for top dollar in a market where you can get more than you've been able to get for the past decade in the majority of areas of Charleston, then I think you need to put some time and energy into preparing your home for sale. So I think the first thing you need to do is you need to do a walkthrough with your real estate agent. You need to look at the home in detail, and you need to trust his or her opinion as to what you should and should not do to prepare it for sale. I meet with a lot of sellers that are interested in doing renovations to their home before they put it on the market. So we have to have a very frank discussion about their budget and about their expected return on their investment. Not every dollar that you put into a house is going to give you a dollar back. There are two different ways in which it may benefit the sale. You can either get a return on your investment monetarily, or your home will sell faster because you did those things. But we have to differentiate between upgrades and repairs. Repairs are things that people will truly knock you down on with regard to your asking price. When they see repairs, they see dollar signs. When they see upgrades, they see possibilities. But if they're walking through a house and it was something simple, like, you could have gotten your carpets cleaned. And if they did get cleaned professionally, then they would look great and they probably wouldn't want them replaced. But now they want them replaced. And instead of a $200 cleaning service, you've got a $2,000 replacement. Or let's say that you could do the paint yourself if you wanted to, and you know that would be annoying and frustrating and take up your time. But if a buyer walks through your property and they see that there are issues with the paint, guess what they're going to do? They're going to have a professional painting company give a quote, and instead of the few $100 in paint and the sacrifice on your time that you'd have to invest into that property, now you've got a professional company that's going to charge you $5,000 to paint the inside of your house, maybe more depending upon the size of it. So we talk about all these things that can save you money, and I think that's where a really experienced real estate agent comes in and tells you the truth. To say, these are the things you should do, these are the things you could do, these are the things you should not do. But I think you, throughout this process, also need to take a bit of a trip down memory lane. You were once a buyer, and something about your home attracted you to it. So remember what those things were and highlight them as a major selling point. Try to find ways to show off the things that you really love the most about your home. Create a list of things that you love about your home and keep it in your home on your kitchen counter so that as people are walking through it, they get that homey, comfortable vibe as they're walking through it. Here are the things you love about the house. Here are some things that you might want to know if you're moving into the neighborhood. All those little things, in my opinion, matter. So write everything down. Walk through the house. Look at the flaws. Have your husband and or your wife or your kids, the more eyes, the better. Walk through the house and write down what they see as potential negatives. Really put yourself in the shoes of a buyer and remember when you were shopping for a home. And I'll say it again, the best way to sell your home is to sell it fast. If your home isn't selling as quickly as it should be because it needs repairs, the longer a house is on the market, the worse its perception becomes. And as the perception worsens, it stays on the market even longer. People begin to wonder, well, what's wrong with this place? So we could also talk about things like staging. We could talk about repairs. We could talk about pre-listing inspections. And I'm happy to have that discussion with you off air. It's a lot of ground to cover, a lot of information, but it's also extremely situational. I don't like giving blanket recommendations on this program. What I do like to suggest is that you have a open and honest discussion with a real estate agent, me if you'd like, about what you need to do to prepare your home for sale. And if it's me that you choose to have walk through your home, I will give you my very honest opinion on what you should and should not do, the impact on the sales price and on the time on market if you choose to do or not do those things. And hopefully together we make the right decision so that we get you the most money possible for your home, but that we also sell it as quickly as we can, so long as that fits within your time frame. So if I can help you with that, give me a call, 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% listing commission to sell your home this year. More information on that website, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, marketing, online marketing. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
The Big Talker WTMA.
Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to this program and learn more about the real estate market, the conditions that surround it, and of course, the process of helping you buy or sell a house. We really like to give you insight into the market, but also into the mind of a real estate agent, so that when you're about to do a transaction in real estate, you know what we're thinking. We can give you the information in an open and honest way to set some realistic expectations with you and have a good overall experience. So it's an educational program, and I like to say thank you every single weekend that I do this show to those of you that listen to this program on a consistent basis and rely on the information within it to make those decisions about when and where and how and why to move, buy, sell, invest, so on and so forth. So thank you for that. If I can help you in any way, you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, feel free to give me a call. My cell phone number is 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about myself, my team, what we sell, our marketing, listen to radio shows. And if you click on the marketing tab, you can learn more about what we do to sell our homes, and you can also learn more about the 2.4% listing commission that we offer. It's the lowest commission out there for someone selling the amount of homes we do. We've already sold 75 this year, did over 200 last year, 1,000 in our career. So we'd love to help you with that. Listingsincharleston.com or 345-1273. So let's get into one of my favorite topics, and I will tell you right now, there is no way I have enough time to talk about this topic. I could talk about marketing for hours and hours and hours. When I graduated the College of Charleston, I was Entrepreneur of the Year for creating a real estate-based online marketing company. I come from a real estate family. They own and develop and manage and lease shopping centers, and so that's what I grew up around. I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. When I graduated college, I went straight to get my real estate license. I got licensed in 2006, which gives you an idea of I'm 32. So I got licensed in 2006, and I've been doing this now for 11 years. By the time I was 24, I was in the top 1% of agents on our market, and I've been there ever since. And I attest a lot of that to my knowledge of marketing, my ability to not only create exposure, but implement systems to take that online shopper and convert them into a showing that is pre-qualified, ready, willing, and able to buy, and to help them decide that your home is the one they should make an offer on. There's a lot that gets into that process and how I do that. I'm certainly not going to tell you that on air. We have a lot of real estate agents that listen to this program, but let's just talk about marketing in general for a few minutes, shall we? So I have a lot of people that come up to us and call us and they say, hey, we're having, we had our home on the market. It didn't sell. I don't know what's going on here. So I said, did you see your home? Of course, we go through a line of questions and I find out what the issues were and why ultimately the deal didn't get done. But one of the things I jumped to first, and I really do have a love-hate relationship with Zillow. But you know what? It's the number one website out there that people use to search for real estate. So you better believe I'm going to be on it in a big way. So the first thing we do is we go to Zillow and we pull up a little search of a home that's close to theirs. Let's say there's another home for sale in that neighborhood, and we look at it and we say, okay, so we look at the photos, we read the description, we look at the pricing history, taxes, schools, blah, blah, blah. We scroll down to the bottom of the page, and it's now time to say, okay, we're interested enough to contact a real estate agent. Well, you're going to see one of two things as a potential buyer. You're on this listing. You're either going to see a list of real estate agents to choose from, one listing agent and 3 other agents that are paying Zillow to appear on that list, or you're going to see just one person, the listing agent. That is the difference between someone that's paying for their account and paying to feature listings versus somebody that's not. There's a cost associated with that. There's a cost associated with darn near everything that we do with regard to online marketing. Very few websites are what I would consider to be free. Now, of course, when you put your property in the MLS, which is an antiquated system for selling real estate, and for the agents that use it to identify properties, but when you put it in the MLS, the property automatically goes on every single real estate company and every single real estate agent's personal website. We all share the same information. You go on Carolina One's website, you're going to see Coldwell Banker's listings. If you go on Remax's website, you're going to see Keller Williams listings. You're going to see it all on all websites. We all share the same information. Okay? So there's no differentiating factor there. Where you really start to see some exposure is in the top 3 websites that people use to search for real estate. Zillow's number 1. I think they get like 300 million unique visitors a month. Second to that is Trulia, and I think they get like 18 or maybe 20 million unique visitors per month. And then it's Realtor.com, and I think they're at like 15. But guess what? Zillow owns Trulia. Zillow owns the market. So when we go online and we look for their home and we see it and we see that, you know, it's listed by an agent that doesn't even have a profile picture. They have no online reviews. They have no past sales. And then they've got someone else that appears on that list because they're not paying for an account that has 100 sales and 50 online reviews. Guess who the buyer's going to contact? That agent that seems like they're more knowledgeable. By the way, Zillow is very sneaky. They put in little gray lettering, listing agent, underneath the listing agent's picture. But anyways, that's beside the point. I don't want to get too far into that particular topic, but the point of this is not only exposure. Exposure is important, and you're hiring an agent to give you the best chance possible at an interested buyer viewing your property wherever it is they're looking. Maybe it's online. Maybe it's in an open house. Maybe they know somebody that is looking at properties for them because they're not very familiar with the area. Whatever the case might be, it's the listing agent's job, in my opinion, to do 3 things as it relates to marketing. Generally, there's probably a lot more, but we'll just roll with it, right? First one is to cast the net as wide as we possibly can to find a buyer. That's everything from local to international marketing and everything in between. So it's not only our job to cast the net as wide as possible, it's our job to cast it as quickly as possible. See, I have 16 people on my team. We lead generate 3 hours per day, meaning we're on the phones. We are finding new business. We are finding buyers for our sellers. We are finding sellers for our buyers 3 hours per day, every single day of the week. So that's almost 250 hours a week dedicated to prospecting for new business. Real estate is a contact sport, and there's nothing that can replace the good old-fashioned work ethic of getting on the phone, making contacts, and making it happen. I could pay for all the online systems in the world. Sometimes there's just no replacing getting on the phone and having a conversation with somebody, and that's the truth. So we can talk about all these great systems and all these awesome things that I do and pay for that do work, but nothing can replace, in my opinion, the really aggressive, proactive agent that's going to go above and beyond and hit the areas of the market that online marketing or direct mail just doesn't cover or doesn't cover well. So we talk about casting the net as quickly as possible. If I have 16 people on the team, we're all dedicated to marketing activities surrounding our listings. That's one of the reasons why we sell more homes than other agents. And I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying that because we have way more time collectively and way more energy and way more resources as a team that a single agent would have when marketing a property. We can just do more in significantly less time. And the more we can do from a marketing perspective quickly and efficiently and correctly and professionally, the better chance you have of selling your home quickly and for top dollar. And then the last thing is, it's not just about spreading the net as wide as possible or spreading the net as quickly as possible. It's about reeling the people in effectively once we catch them in our net. Once they're on the hook, we got to reel them in. So that's where effective systems and an agent that can talk professionally about the market, answer their questions, and be a resource for a particular buyer on a particular listing, that's when an agent really shows. It's not just about the creation of the exposure, it's about the conversion of the business you create. Some people's conversion ratios suck. They can talk to 100 people and set one appointment. That's not a good conversion ratio, by the way, for industry standards, and certainly not for my team. But the point is this: marketing and exposure is incredibly important, but it has to be combined with an attractive price, and it has to be consistent with the condition of your home. Now, if I can help you with any of those three things or all of them together, you're thinking about selling your house, let's have a chat about that off air. My cell phone number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273, or go to my website and contact me that way, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. We've got a few more minutes left here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
WTMA.
You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks for joining me as we've been talking about selling a property over the past hour almost. And it's a discussion that we continued from last weekend, and I spent a little more time on it than I had intended because I really wanted to cover a lot of different areas within the three topics we discussed: price, condition, and marketing. But as I mentioned, there's just not enough time to go through all of that, and it's also very situational. As I mentioned, I don't like giving kind of blanket recommendations or comments over air as it relates to real estate. I do believe that real estate is very local, it's hyper-local, it's situational. And so if you're thinking about selling your house, please give me a call. I will be happy to discuss what you should do to renovate your home, repair your home, not do anything and save your money. And then, of course, we can talk about marketing, we can talk about price, we can help you along your way if you're thinking about moving. So if I can do that for you, give me a call on my cell. My number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And you can contact my team. That way you can click on our marketing tab and learn more about what we do to sell homes. You can also learn more about our 2.4% listing commission. So listingsincharleston.com. So with a few minutes left, I want to talk about selling or buying a property that's tenant occupied. So you've got a few major things going on here. Let's say that you're selling a property and you have a tenant in the property. You didn't intend on selling the property while they were there, but you know what? Your situation's changed and you got to go. The first thing you need to understand is that tenants' rights will apply. They have the right to stay in that property regardless of whether you sell it or not. So the only way really around it would be that if you have some sort of clause or stipulation in your lease that states that upon notice from the owner or landlord or property manager, they have X amount of days to vacate, or in the event you decide to sell the property and you provide the tenants with enough notice, they're going to move out. Now, when we start getting into contract language, I do want to just say as a disclaimer that if you are renting your property yourself, and even if you have a property manager, I think you need to be very careful about language that you write into a lease. And if you have any questions about the interpretation of language, you need to talk to an attorney, because I'm not an attorney and I'm not going to give legal advice, quote unquote, over the air or in person either. So you need to have a conversation with the attorney about that. But the first thing you really need to do is you need to determine whether or not your lease gives you an out should you want to sell the property. You also need to notify the tenant, in my opinion. Now, the key to selling a property when a tenant is in it is cooperation from the tenant. A tenant can make or break a sale, and it's happened to me so many times, I don't care to count. I've had some tenants that have been wonderful, but I would say that those are the minority. The majority of tenants, let's be honest, they don't want to help you out. They don't want to help you sell your home. They didn't sign up to have their home look like a staging, warehouse and everything is perfectly clean, and they just want to live their life and write a check to somebody every month and just be done with it. So it's very hard to get tenants to cooperate. We can help we've done this so many times that we kind of know what to say and how to appeal to a tenant. Yeah, you might end up having to give them a little bit of money off of the rent every month in return for being cooperative at showings, leaving the house during showings, and cleaning the home before it happens or before a showing occurs. So there's all kinds of little things there, but you need to notify the tenant. Try and work out some sort of deal with them before you put the property on the market. Tell them that maybe in return for cooperating with you, that you're going to give them $100 off their rent each month, whatever the case might be. Have them sign an addendum to the lease if there isn't language in there already that states they will vacate the properties within 30 days if and when a purchase agreement is signed by you and a buyer. Now, you may have to offer to buy them out of their lease or assist them with some moving expenses. But you can also have the buyer, if they like it enough, and if you really kind of strategically play the game appropriately to say, hey, there's a tenant in the property and their lease conveys with the property. If you want them to move, you might have to sweeten the pot and offer to give those tenants something to move out of the property. Now, then again, you might find somebody that wants the tenants there. That might actually be attractive to them. Let's say that you're selling a property and it's a vacation rental. Usually the way it works is the seller will relinquish the bookings that have occurred from closing until 90 days afterward. There's something called the South Carolina Vacation Rental Act that you need to read up on. If you have a vacation rental, it's rented out by a property manager. It protects both the tenants that have secured that property for up to 90 days after the sale, and it also secures the property manager's interest in receiving compensation for finding those tenants. So something for you to look into. But also make sure that the agreement you have in place with them does not remove the tenant's liability to maintain the property or remain liable for any damages or missed or lost rent, so on and so forth. Okay? Really important on that one. Now, quickly, if you're buying a property and it's rented, ask to see a copy of the lease and any other documentation signed between both parties. Ask the seller or the listing agent, did the owner do a credit check and a background check? If you intend on keeping those tenants in the property, definitely something you should know. Make sure the owner and the tenant sign an agreement that discusses the process of the tenant's move out as well as the termination of the lease. When will it happen? What needs to happen in order for it to take place? What do we need to do to make sure the tenants actually move out before the closing date? I would take that a step further and say, protect yourself by saying that tenants have to be out of the property and the property has to be professionally cleaned before you can close and take possession if you're a buyer. And then I'd say last thing is avoid letting the tenant stay for a few weeks after closing at all costs. I'm telling you, it doesn't end well. Then you're going to be the owner trying to kick out a tenant. You're going to have to go through evictions. You're going to have to go through HE double hockey sticks. I don't know if I can say that word on this air or not. I don't know. I'll ask my program director because maybe I'll use it a little more if I can. But anyways, some good information there if you're buying or selling a property, if it's tenant occupied. There's more that I've kind of scratched the surface here. If you're thinking about buying or selling a property and it's tenant occupied, give me a call. I'll walk through those steps with you. Again, we've done it, I don't know, probably 100, 200 times, maybe more. I don't know the numbers on it, but we've done 1,000 transactions here in Charleston and a good number of them are rented. So we'd love to help you with that. Feel free to give me a call, 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Again, that's listingsincharleston.com for more information on myself, my team, and the 2.4% listing commission to sell your home this year. Thanks so much, Charleston. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.